I hope everybody's doing good tonight. I feel good. Just kicking off the new year, just with a lot of production, just being positive, just making every day a positive, making every day a plus. You know what I mean? Knowing it's going to compound at the end of the year, but just finished a workout, feel good early in the morning, but you know what I mean? I'm blessed. I'm alive. I'm alive. You feel me? But today I want to talk about something that's like kind of been on my mind a lot. Um, it's kind of it comes and goes, but recently I thought about it more and more. But there's a lot of people in this world who just can't be alone. And I don't know why, but being alone comes with like a negative connotation to it. I think when people think of being alone, they really are thinking of being lonely. You know, lonely is like the emotional feeling of you being by yourself. Being alone is just you being physically by yourself, just you, just one person. You know what I mean? And there's a lot of people who really can't be alone. They can't just stick it out with themselves. You know what I mean? And I think I know why. You know, it's very difficult. It's very uncomfortable. Especially if you have like a lot of issues and traumas that you never got over, that you kind of just mask by being around other people or just being in different environments. Then when you caught by yourself, that's when it's gonna creep on you. You know what I mean? Especially at nighttime. I think we all know at nighttime when it start getting dark and the moon come out, our feelings just become magnetic and they just kind of like just pour out of us what I was trying to. You know what I mean? So definitely at night, if you by yourself, that's when a lot of thoughts are gonna hit your mind. You know, because even the Bible says idle mind is the devil's playground. When you just caught with nothing but ample amount of time just to think, you'll drive yourself crazy. But the one thing that I've learned to conquer throughout my life, and I'm still conquering it, you know what I mean? 'Cause I'm not perfect, obviously, but I understand that light and darkness both have a role. You know what I mean? They both play a part in life. Just like how most people use like warm water to take showers, and obviously warm water feels more comfortable, it feels better. But there is, you know what I mean? There's positive things that go with taking cold showers. You know what I mean? There's a lot of benefits that come with taking a cold shower, but most people wouldn't think that because just think about taking a cold shower is so uncomfortable. You're not thinking about all the benefits that come through you being uncomfortable. You know what I mean? But I've learned just in this journey of my life, and some people probably look at me weird for it, but I just learned over time to like embrace the dark side. You know what I mean? And the darkness is just things that we run away from because how we were told to view it or whatever fears, but embrace pain, embrace uncomfortability, embrace unpredictability, embrace being alone. You know what I mean? Embrace just the process of things and not the actual reward because the process is the majority of the journey. And that's where you actually learn a lot about yourself. And that's kind of why I'm making this video because somebody like me, I naturally like being by myself. You know what I mean? I enjoy my own company and I just see the benefits of being alone. You know what I mean? When I'm alone, I can actually like strip myself down and I'm not really around anything that's going to distract me or not that's going to basically kind of like shape my perception and not make me look at myself with just a clean slate, you know what I mean, just unbiasedly. And that's what y'all are missing out on. If you're somebody who's scared to be alone, people are always going to be there, and obviously we want to be around people. We're social creatures and we are born to like interact with each other, but there's so many positives of being alone that I don't think people realize, and they're doing themselves a disservice. You know what I mean? And one of those positives, like I just kind of mentioned with my own life, is a lot of y'all really don't know who y'all are. You know what I mean? And it can be from something extreme as far as like characteristics, or it could be from something as far as what you want to do with your life just because who you're surrounded by or who you're influenced by, you know? So a lot of y'all really don't know yourself. A lot of y'all are who your environment is. A lot of y'all is who your family is. You know what I mean? And that's why you have to watch what you consume, and especially your environment, because consumption isn't just eating. Consumption is what are you watching? What are you looking at? You know what I mean? Consumption is who are you around? Who you sharing energy with, and as well as what are you intaking and you know what I mean down your stomach. But your environment, you're like a sponge into your environment, which means you just consume everything without even realizing it. Especially when you was a baby. A lot of the things that you do now, you picked up when you was a little kid, which was picked up by people you were around. You didn't make a conscious decision or effort to be like, you know what, this trait mostly fits me, so I'm going to start doing this. No, A lot of people are, like I said, are the sum of who they're around all the time in life. And you see it a lot of times. A lot of friends, they can't think for themselves. Their friends say something, they change their answer to please them. You know what I mean? Or a lot of people just, like I said, they don't want to be alone. You know what I mean? They're attached to somebody else by the hip because it's just more comfortable with them. But like I said, when you're alone, that's when you can really strip yourself down and know who you really are. So when you get around other people, that's when you have the most confidence because you're not influenced by other people. Your confidence isn't built off of somebody else's personality or persona. Your confidence is built off you, the work you put in. And when you know you're doing something behind the scenes, especially when you know as a man, you can march to the beat of your own drum. Because that's the one thing about being a man that we kind of take pride in is like knowing when to disagree, but still stand firm in your answer or what you think is right for you. You know what I mean? We're not impressionable to where, or you're not supposed to be impressionable as far as like, oh, I like this. Oh, I like this. Oh, you like that? Oh, I like it too. No, you stand firm why you like something because you know what I mean. The shoe fits on each person differently. You know what I mean. So just understand that like the benefit, one of the benefits of being alone is like you can really strip yourself down and know who you really are. So then when you do interact with the rest of the world, you know what I mean. You're not easily influenced. You know what I mean. You're not gullible. You're not persuaded easily because you know who you are. You're firm and you're standing in your own tent. And the second reason why I think it's a good reason to be alone, like I said, we get we get stuff with darkness confused, and darkness is scary because it kind of goes with the unknown, and that's the only reason why we fear a lot of things because we can't predict it. You know what I mean? It's not because it actually is fear at what is here or what the cause is here for, but we just don't really can't put our hand on it, so it's uncomfortable. You know what I mean? It's kind of scary, but we got to understand the darkness is where a lot of things grow and fertilize. You know what I mean? And you can look at any walk of life. The darkness is where your brain is, but that's where the most magic happens. You know what I mean? Everything you think, everything people have thought into the world materializes into the physical, which means that your mind is the real world, which is in the dark. You know what I mean? We pay more attention to this physical world than the real world, which is our minds. You know what I mean? But that's in the dark, and that's something that people overlook. Seeds and flowers. You know what I mean? Seeds get planted in the ground, and you really can't see the process and like how it's cultivating, but that's how it works. You know what I mean? Everything starts in the dark, and then it sprouts above the surface. Same with your ideas. It starts in the dark in your mind, then it sprouts into this physical world. So same with babies and impregnation. You know what I mean? That happens in the dark, and then boom, the baby comes out. So there's beauty in the darkness. When you're going through these tough times and you got to be alone and you're thinking about certain things, the closer you get to rock bottom or the closer you get to having enough is when your life changed. When you make that decision right then and there, that's when everything starts changing because then you start looking for solutions. Because all up until that point, you was trying to avoid certain things, and you're never gonna face it if you keep trying to avoid it. The more you run away from something, whether you're chasing something or you're running away from it, trying to act like it doesn't exist, you're giving it energy and attention, which means it's going to overrule you sooner or later. There's only so much running you can do. There's only so much times you could be around people all fucking day before they get tired of your ass. You know what I mean? So understand that there's nothing wrong with the darkness. Everything that we see in the light started in the darkness. So in the darkness, that's where you cultivate your identity. That's when you cultivate your true self. So then when you come out into the real world and you're interacting with other people, you can shine your light bright. You know what I mean? You can really shine and be yourself and just be very unique. You know what I mean? Amongst your peers. So there's nothing wrong with being alone. I know we're taught certain things about being alone. I know it's a kind of a scary feeling to be alone, but being alone is just you physically being by yourself and getting used to it. Understand that you really only have yourself and you're with yourself throughout the 24 hours every day. You know what I mean? Being lonely is the emotional, like detached feeling of feeling alone or being by yourself. You know what I mean? So work on being alone. You know what I mean? There's always people around. You know what I mean? That's easy. We always can find somebody to be around or somebody to crawl up under, whether it's our parents, our friends, our siblings. But grow and love your own time. Grow and love your own company because the ironic thing is, once you grow to love yourself and be around yourself, that's when the world is going to choose you too. When you choose yourself, the world is going to mirror you and choose you also. You know what I mean? So I hope that helps people out there. You know what I mean? Because like I said, the darkness isn't that scary. You know what I mean? There's beauty in everything in life. You know what I mean? There's not just beauty in one thing or the one thing that we think best suits us. There's beauty in everything, but it's up to us to discover it. You know what I mean? And kind of mold it and to see how it could fit into our lives, into our process.